I'm Gina with Legacy Jewelry Appraisers and Buyers. I'm your GIA gemologist, and today I'm going to talk to you about how to test your coral to see if it's actually real or not. One of my Facebook or Instagram followers had asked me recently how to test because they cannot find an easy way to test their coral. So we're going to talk about that today. But for right now, let's look at the different types of coral and where they come from. So I just want to mention coral, the most beautiful coral in the world, is going to come from the Mediterranean, where your deepest, reddest, most orange colors that are natural will come from the Mediterranean. Now, also you'll find coral that comes from Japan and China. But for right now, let's go to the next topic, which is going to be about the different styles that you will find from coral that are made into beads and or gemstone quality necklaces. So as you know, coral comes from the ocean. And as coral grows, you will find that there are what we call sticks that occur on the coral. These sticks are long, sometimes 2 inches, 2.5 inches, and thin. They're long, skinny, thin pieces, what we call branch sticks. The branch sticks are taken from the coral, they're cut, and they are strung on these beaded necklaces. Okay, that being said, let's go to another style that comes from your natural organic coral from the ocean. This next one is called the pipe. You can also think of it, pipe, as an organ pipe. You go to church, you see a big organ. Back in those days where someone's playing the organ, the pipes are long, they're short, and they're tubes. They're also called tubes. Tube, pipe, organ, beads. These are also cut and made into necklaces, individual necklaces, beaded necklaces. So now let's go to the third one, which we call sponge. Sponge are little square, rectangular, they're convex, they're rounded beads. You will find these strung on a necklace, and these are called sponge. They look like a sponge and they have little holes, and that's very common also from your natural organic coral from the ocean. So now the million-dollar question, how do you test your coral? How do you know it's a natural color? How do you know if it's real or not? As I tell all my viewers, the first thing you want to do is visually look at your item, and usually if the color is vibrant and absolutely gorgeous, you really have to put your thinking cap on and say, is it natural or is it color enhanced? But before we do that, let's look and see whether or not we're going to go for the cold touch to the face. Are the beads actually cold? Now, that is a test that will tell you the difference between whether they are plastic or not. As I mentioned in my other videos, plastic is like a plastic cup. That will indicate right away that your pearls or your beads are actually plastic. So we'll move past that, and now let's talk about how to test your beads. One of the things that I like to do is I like to rub 2 beads together, if they're possible, on your strand. You rub them together. Now, if one bead the coloration starts to come off and rub onto the other bead, you know that that is not a real, that it's been color treated. There's color added to that bead. But we have to go a little deeper than that. The next trick that I like to use, I want you to take a hot needle, super hot, to where it's white when you put it under that flame on your stove, okay? Now, you're going to take that needle, you're going to go to your bead necklace to an area that's not going to be noticeable. So go to the inside where the where it's not going to be noticed. Don't get it near your nylon string or your silk string, because I don't want you to burn. I don't want you to burn actually the cord. Once you adhere that to the bead, if heat will burn, you will see a dark spot. That means, my friend, that if this burns, it is coral. Coral will burn. So I want you to realize, if you see a dark spot, it is coral. If you don't see a dark spot, it is not going to be coral. Okay? Now, there is another test, and I want you to be really careful with it. I did this for a stick beaded necklace. It's with vinegar. Now, coral will bubble, okay? It's very porous. So when you put vinegar in a cup and you add your stick or your bead, your coral, into that, you have to be very careful, because once you put that in there, it will strip the color from it will take the color, if you leave it in there too long, from the natural coral. But as long as you see the bubbles, you'll know it's real coral. Okay? So that being said, there's another way. It's a little bit harder. It's caustic. It's acetone. Acetone, also, the color will rub off. Just like the vinegar that shows the bubble, acetone, the color will rub off. So I hope those all help you today. The last thing I want to mention to you, don't mistaken your coral for jasper, which has a beautiful color similar. You'll see this is very polished, which also coral can be polished, so I don't want you to mistake it. The other that you'll see in a lot of the Chinese-made jewelry and beads, and that is called cinnabar. Cinnabar is also a very deep red, and it can also be an orange to a brown. So I don't want you to mistake cinnabar. Anyway, I hope these tips helped you today. I look forward to answering many more of your questions. As a gemologist, I love it when you send me your inquiries, send me your texts, your picture to either my Facebook group page or write to subscribing to my YouTube channel, where you can send your inquiries, and I will get back to you with those questions and hopefully put them on video and help other people that would also like to have the information. Take care, and I look forward to talking to you soon.